Howdy doobie Toastmasters. My name is Shaun McAlister. I am a self-employed independent creative who is the longest running executive director of DFW Normal. We are a grassroots nonprofit organization that works to end cannabis prohibition in the state of Texas. And in my time since joining DFW Normal in 2011, I have had a number of opportunities for public speaking to be a part of the job. But today I want to talk about three of what I believe to be the biggest opportunities that, had I been involved with Toastmasters earlier, like so many libertarians have already been asking me for years, I would have been able to make far more of these opportunities than I ever was on my own, so to speak. So the very first one, since 2011, I've spoken to around 20 different lawmakers, not all mine, obviously, other people's, and gone in a supporting role for them. And while I did feel that every one of those conversations went well, we were able to communicate well, it didn't end in a shouting match or anything like that, I always felt like I could have done a lot better, that I could have been more prepared, and then that person who was giving their presentation to this lawmaker could have been more prepared, and just my communication and leadership could have made for a much more impactful meeting times 20 with these lawmakers, the people who we have to convince if my liberty issue is ever going to get any attention. And so every one of those could have benefited from the criticism that I will get from my peers, the feedback, the opportunity to get out of my comfort zone once again and talk about different things to different people. Every one of those could have been better, and I feel like in my own way I could have been contributing more had I been a Toastmaster earlier. Number two, building directly on the fact that we're talking to lawmakers, being in the Capitol, we had an opportunity to have a student film documentary created about us in which I was a central character called Tumbling Weeds. And basically it followed the story of us going from Dallas-Fort Worth at 5 a.m. on a charter bus to Austin, and 50 of us from Dallas-Fort Worth, and we went to go and have a mass lobby day for marijuana activism. 300 of us were actually there in the Capitol that day, talking to our lawmakers about marijuana law reform and testifying at hearings in which these bills were being discussed. And as I watched this documentary with my friends and family, I cringed every single time I came on camera because I remember being there not as prepared as I wanted to be. And for it to be very obvious in what I'm saying and how I'm saying it, in so much that you can see my collar is messed up throughout the whole thing, and people are constantly like trying to fix it for me, and it's like this cute little joke, whatever, in it, but it's a perfect example of how not prepared that I was. And it's something that originally I wish they had just not let that in there, and now I'm so glad that they did, that I was able to see it, because that's the type of thing that I need to see. I need to get that feedback. I need to get that out of my system so I can stop doing that. And then finally, while we're in the Capitol, I got the very, very rare opportunity to testify at the hearing of a bill, HB 2165, which would have effectively repealed marijuana prohibition in the state of Texas, something that I've been trying to do for a long time, and I got to finally speak at. And I had 3 minutes to be able to give a presentation to 10, 12 lawmakers that had never seen me before, and I wasn't prepared. And I went in nervous and anxious and scared and uncertain in what I was going to say. And at the last minute, had somebody else tell me what I was going to say. And I changed the plan. And you can tell in watching this historic archival footage that will be on the Texas website forever that I'm nowhere near as confident as I usually am whenever I'm public speaking. And I hated that. I hated to see that. And I knew that the only way for me to get better at this, besides just practice and maybe watch the videos of me making mistakes, was to be a part of an organization like Toastmasters, something that has been looming around my life for years, since Alan Patterson was the first person to ever suggest that I join Toastmasters. A mentor of mine told me years ago that I should do this, and here I am. I'm a little late, I admit, but I'm here. And it's something that, had I had this experience years ago, I feel like I would have been far better at what I've been doing for the last several years. And I'm just done half-assing it. I want to do it right. I want to bring my A game, and that begins and ends with Toastmasters as far as I'm concerned. And finally, I want to continue to raise an exceptional son who admires me in some ways and could stand to admire me in other ways. And I want this to be one of the ways in which he looks up to his dad, so that when the time comes for him to give his public speaking debut or reports or whatever he's going to do, in which he has to do something that most kids who are raised in America are just okay with it being something you're afraid of public speaking. Well, that's natural. It doesn't have to be. And I don't want my son to be naturally afraid of public speaking. I want him to be comfortable with it. I want him to be a Toastmaster before he ever has to be. Thank you.